Hey everybody, welcome to the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G. We are here with another new and exciting episode of the show. This week we have Stephanie Gaffney of Torregrossa Fine Art and a whole bunch of other things that she's got her feet in. Super exciting show. We get into the nitty-gritty of what a creative artist goes through, her process, how she got started being a live wedding painter and artist. Super exciting stuff up ahead. Before we get to that, I want to give a big, wonderful shout out and thank you to the folks that bring you this show each and every week. Falia Real Estate, Lakeman's Health Center, and you know our apparel is none other than Genteel Apparel. Now, without further ado, enjoy the show. You know, if you have a clientele that's listening to you and you're over here, you know, answering the questions the way you answer them, you're like, oh, you know, my faith, my family, all these good, wholesome things, and then you're just dropping the F-bomb every other word, then they're like, Stephanie, are you really authentic in what you say?
I have to put the filter on, my mom's going to listen to this, and so what would make her proud? And she enjoys a good, healthy conversation, open conversation, you know, right. and if it's colorful, if the color adds value to the conversation, but if you're just filling because you're not intelligent enough to use proper adjectives, then that's not interesting, and it's kind of a turn off. So
exactly,
that's kind of the filter with which I put all of my content.
Yeah, you have to. Most people will say, well, it doesn't matter who watches it, it's who I am. And I'm like, great, that's perfect for you if that's how you're going to portray yourself. Mm-hmm. And then if I meet you in person, you better be just like that, or I know you're putting it on, and then also all of a sudden becomes distasteful.
Yeah. But
there's also a balance. Like, you know, you can control some of that. It's not like, unless you have certain issues where you can't control that, which is understandable. But for the most part, for the general population, it's like, you didn't need to add that there.
No.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, there's some points where it's like, okay, that made sense. You know, like a T-Bob after show when we just win or have a big upset. Like, yeah, there's some color that's nice there.
Yes. Anything celebratory it's kind of building connection also, because people feel that their heart rate goes up and they want to be a part of that. Anything out of like anger is just, people turn away from that real fast. They'll turn that off real fast.
Yeah. And I think the color humanizes people too. It lets the viewer or the listener connect more with that person. They're like, okay, yeah, I do that sometimes every now and again, you know, like, yeah, I can relate to you. Now you're more interesting to me. Yeah. But those people that are always behind it with no color, it's tougher to gain that connection.
It's almost like you're wondering if they chill out ever. It's like, you know, if they're this.
Are you always like this?
Are you always like this? Yeah, because you can have a conversation with somebody and it's business professional, and you wonder, like, part of you in your mind, there's certain words like hell and, you know, God damn, and like things like that kind of like make you approachable in a way. I find from watching videos, it makes them approachable. It's just a phrase that's used in context that's like, you know, oh yeah, I feel that. But if somebody is too proper, it's the way you talk too. If you're too proper, then, you know, you don't really connect with the person, and you feel like they would be boring to hang out with just in a social setting. So there's like a fine line there.
Yeah, which is always tough.
Especially in a business professional setting. Yeah, I know.
Well, and then it comes down to the multiple elements, right? Like, what are you wearing? How are you presenting yourself physically when you're in meetings? You know, it was always the monkey suit, right? When you always showed up in a suit and tie, and then it kind of became a little bit more accepted. But then now it's kind of going the other way. If somebody shows up in a suit, I'm like, okay, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, that's so true. That's so funny.
If somebody's come and see me in a suit, either they think I'm way too important, or I've done something wrong, and they're here to tell me something.
God, you know, being married to my husband, who is a lawyer, and where he's like, be the best dressed person in the room. It garners respect, and you know, it's not about showing off anything. It's just you respect the person enough to be well dressed. And so when I see people in suits all the time, and I know these people, my husband, his coworkers, his dad, you know, and when they wear suits, they look really nice and presentable, but it's not because of the relationship. I'm not nervous around people in suits like other people may be.
And I get it from a social setting standpoint, right? Like be the best dressed person unless you're going to a wedding. Don't outdress the bride or the groom, right?
But I dress up for weddings now. I used to be more comfortable because the work is hard and you're preparing for 6 hours of manual. I mean, it is hard work.
Yeah.
And so I used to dress for comfort, and then I saw myself in photos and was kind of embarrassed because it's a wedding. Like I really should like dress to the standard of the event. So now I dress up and I have these little heels and, you know, I wear earrings and makeup and I am put together. You know, I'll pull my hair back to get it out my face because I've got a lot of hair, but it's not to upstage anybody. It's just to match the classiness of the event.
Yeah, to match the ambiance, right? You know, you
don't want to stand out. I wear black so I don't stand out. I used to wear just nice clothes. And some artists do dress up and they wear gowns and they wear patterns and all this stuff, and it's very beautiful. But when I looked at myself wearing patterns, I felt that what I was wearing distracted from the painting. So I wanted to not even be present. I wanted to just blend in. And so I wear vendor black. And I have blazers and gowns and, you know, I've got my black tie dress. I don't know, just going on and on. But yeah, you dress for the occasion and then to make other people feel comfortable and respected.
Right. Yeah, you want to like match them. You don't want to, you know, have a
And I saw you dressed very nicely, but you were wearing polos. And so I knew not to wear my blazer. Like I knew it was going to be more of a casual conversation sitting on these nice comfy couches and having a brewski. And
right. It's laid
so,
back.
and I usually wear black, but I think tan and beige is kind of casual, nice, old money, classy, nice, you know? Yeah. So I like it on other people. And that's why I wore this today.
Yeah. Now this is the point in time we want you to pop. We want you to show off yourself, you know?
Well, my personality will be loud enough.
But it's true on the paint side where you're at events that people kind of you're a part of the event.
Yeah.
But also to your point, you don't want to be too much a part of the event where people are walking by and they're like, now everybody's flocked around you. You know, like they want to experience that and kind of check in every now and again. But if you then become this object of the event, it's kind of like, well, we're all here to celebrate.
It's your MO. Yeah. So for a ceremony, like that moment, I step away. Even if I'm in the setting painting that background or whatever, I move out of the way because it's not about me in that moment. But it depends on what your goal is. There's an artist in New Orleans. His name is Alex Harvey. He's been around longer than I have. And he wears a tuxedo covered in paint. And he dances and he's very loud and brash. And it's more entertaining. He paints on stages at Jazz Fest. And when people hire him, they want that. And so they'll put him on a platform if they can. Like they want that entertainment for the guests. And other people are, like I said, wear ball gowns, and their whole thing is the drama and the fashion and the person, the class that comes with the person. I've got a friend in Atlanta, Maggie Kuhn, who is very famous, and when people hire her, they want her. Like the paintings are phenomenal, yes, but they want her to be there. Like that means something. And for me, I want to engage with the guests. I want them to feel comfortable enough to come up to me. I want them to be impressed by me and the work. And I want it to be, I just want it to be impressive. I don't necessarily want it to be like, look at me.
Right.
But I do want it to be memorable in that way.
Yeah. You're looking at it for the longevity beyond the event.
Yes.
You're not just in it to be there for the event. I mean, yeah, the guests are obviously going to remember it.
Yeah.
But like that's not your sole intent. You're also going to make sure that the bride and groom have this point in time that they can hang on their wall forever.
Yeah.
And be thrown back to that moment and have all the memories come up every time they see it.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking at it more long term.
Yeah. The product itself is something for the couple and their family to hang on to for years and generations. The act of the entertainment, it adds an element of connection among the wedding guests. So let's say you go to a wedding and you know the groom. You went to college with the groom and you don't know 2/3 of the people there. You just know him and a couple of his friends. But let's say, you and your wife are sitting there watching the painter, and then some other couple comes up and y'all are chit-chatting. Well, let's say y'all see each other at a baby shower 2 years later, at that couple's house. Y'all can talk about the wedding and then some of the elements that you saw that you experienced together. And so it is kind of a form of connecting people that are at the event, and just based on the type of event that it is, it just elevates it. It elevates the whole experience.
So did you always start out doing live wedding paintings? Like, was that your step into
No.
Torregrossa Fine Art?
No.
Okay.
No, have we begun?
We're a half hour into this now.
Shut up. I thought this was just a warm-up. Oh, that's so funny. No, indeed. I quit my job as a graphic designer because something like tapped in my heart that was like, I don't want to be stuck behind a computer screen anymore. I really like graphic design. I enjoyed it. I wasn't the best or the most talented graphic designer, but I certainly was, I enjoyed it. And then I could use the programs that we were trained to do. I had a major in graphic design and I had fun with it, but I was working at a small advertising agency and my boss noticed my knack for like talking to people. And he said, "Oh, maybe we can capitalize on this." And so he put me in a networking group. So I joined BNI, Business Networking International. Mm-hmm. And I joined one of the chapters representing the agency. And really, it was the perfect time for me to shake off the nerves of like entering the adult world. I was like 21, fresh out of college, 21, 22 at the time. And I practiced talking to grown-ups and adults, like joining a networking group full of middle-aged and up adults who have been in business, like the confidence. I was like, well, I'm not on this level yet. And it just, allowed me to loosen up and become comfortable with talking to adults. And then I got used to coming at sales, like getting people in the door, instead of coming up to people and saying, "Do you need a new website? How's that logo treating you?" Like it was more like, how's business? Where are you getting your clients from? Are they coming in from Google? Have you looked at the back end of your website? Have you heard of SEO? Do you have any idea what that is? And so coming from the perspective of what are you struggling with and what could my company possibly help you with? Mm-hmm. And so that clicked. And I never wanted a career. I certainly didn't want a career in sales. But when I started bringing in my own clients, and it was a small commission, so it was a little boost in cash that I desperately needed. But I just got more involved with the client experience, and to the dismay of my coworkers, because I was going and knocking on doors and peeking in their offices saying, "Hey, how's that copy coming? How's that develop? We're behind on the development. Hello."
Oh, now you're project managing.
Oh my God. Yes. And I was like, "Can I do this job instead?" And they were so kind and patient. And they were like, "No,
just draw the logo.
Go sit down. I need you to do," they were so patient with me. "I need you to do the job we hired you to do. You're really good at it. Go do that. Like back off." And I tried, and eventually I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I really love the concept of the cycle of business. You go out and attract clients, you bring them in, you get them to sign a contract with the promise of a service delivered. Mm-hmm. You do the job, they love it, they pay you, and then they send you referrals. And then again and again and again. And that's how we do business.
This episode of the Patty G Show is sponsored by Genteel Apparel. Genteel Apparel is our newest clothing outfitter. We've got a great partnership with them. Head on over to the website, pattygshow.com/sponsors, to learn a little bit more about them, and there's a little treat there for you when you get there. Again, this episode is brought to you by Genteel Apparel.
And that was so simple to me. And so I didn't want to do graphic design anymore. All this time, by the way, I was just waiting on Mr. Right to come along because I didn't want a job. I didn't want a career. I was just la-di-da, doing what I was trained to do, doing what I could do, and, making a paycheck to pay for rent and pay for dog food because I was fostering dogs at the time. Like I had all these children up in my house.
Right. You had bills to pay.
Yeah, I had bills to pay and nothing in savings. Like I wasn't fiscally responsible. I was just earning money to, survive and do what a 22-year-old does. I mean, come on. And so I up until this point, I was frustrating. I was getting frustrated with my boss. I was getting frustrated with the situation I was in. And every time I'd go home to visit my mom, I would say, I just want to quit. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And she would say, just relax, go for a run, have a glass of wine, let's just, get some sleep and then go back to work tomorrow. Come on, shake it off. Everybody has bad days. Right. And then one day I went home and we were hanging out and I was like, "Okay, Mom, I'm done. Whoa. I want to quit. I'm done." And she didn't respond the way that I expected her to say, roll her eyes. She said, "Okay, what you going to do?" And I said, "I'm going to paint." You know, as every mother's dream to hear their kids say they're going to quit to paint. And this was before Instagram was a solid way of marketing your work. You know, Instagram has really done wonders for creatives who are, you know, creating their work, making content, and then promoting it. At that time, it was like what my mother's generation knew of the art world was, how on earth are you going to make a living doing this? How are you going to be employable as a painter?
Yeah, everybody makes money when they die as an artist.
Literally, like how can you make money? Who are you going to sell to? And that mindset was what I had, like in college when I was, you know, doing tiny commissions. I didn't even call them commissions. It was a friend saying, hey, look, you know, you're so good. Can you paint this for my dad? Father's Day, I'll pay you. It was like a little $100 here, $200, and like a welcome surprise. It was just like, I like to paint. Sure. And then when somebody would say, you should do this full time, my immediate thought was, well, who's going to pay me? You? Who's going to, like, who in my small circle of friends? I was so close-minded. It wasn't on my radar ever. Yeah. And so I quit my job and I knew that I wanted to run a business that served people. Okay. I did not want to sell my art to the world. I wanted to bring people joy. Like I understood being in the BNI group. I understood working with other people. We had these creative sessions at my old job where we would talk about, why do you do what you do? What is the reason? What's the mission here? I worked closely with the copywriters at my agency. And so, you know, in writing the copy, there were questionnaires for the client, you know, so we really, at a young age, not even in marketing school or business school, like working at this company, I just realized the importance of having a reason why you do something. And I knew that I didn't just want to paint and because I was an artist. It was, I want to serve people and make them happy. And I believe I can do so and do so consistently and in a sustainable way to make a living, and enough to where I get one paycheck after another, and I do one painting after another, and it be this cyclical thing. And so while I did not start my business as a live wedding painter, live wedding painting came to me through my marketing, my promotion of, what do you love the most? Like, I can paint that for you, you know, countless pet portraits, hundreds of pet portraits, because it's so easy. Like you have a dog, you love your dog. Does your mom have a dog? Does she love her dog? Mother's Day's around the corner. How about, you know, ... Like it was kind of simple when you put the joy of the person first.
Yeah. So it sounds like you just went straight into sales.
When you run a business, Patrick, I don't know if you know this, you have to sell something. So are you selling a product? Or are you selling the benefit that the reception of the product will give the person? What's the benefit? So there's no benefit to a painting other than joy, other than connectivity, other than the appreciation. You know, if you receive a painting and it's terrible, the fact that your son gave you a painting means a lot, because they had the forethought to go out and commission an artist to, you know, spend money on something. Like that is meaningful. And if it's a painting that you love, that you can literally look at every time you enter a room. I love art. Okay. I love all kind of art. Modern abstract art, you know, not much more of a representational, like I love what this looks like and I love these colors, and my palette is expanding the more that I study art, the more that I follow other artists and get to know other artists. And when I buy art, because now I'm on a journey of collecting art, so I'm actually buying other people's art because it makes me happy to look at.
Right.
So my house, it used to be, if you talk to Chris, my husband, it used to be covered with Ducks Unlimited posters and paintings, you know, that he got at the galas and whatnot, all these hunting images. And now I've taken them all down, and it's just all kind of random stuff. My stuff, my friends' artwork that I've bought online, just, you know, we're growing that collection. We are growing that collection. But art makes you happy. It improves your quality of life. Mm-hmm. And then when you have kids and they add to that, joy, happiness, a painting, even if a painting makes you sad, like that's evoking an emotion, you know, and we're emotional creatures. So buy art. That's my plug. Buy art.
It reminds you of a moment in time, whether you recognize it or not. Mm-hmm. And it could be a new moment created right then and there. Mm-hmm. But I love the new frames that they sell now for children art, where it's just like this really, really thick frame, and you just add the more pieces to it. So then you take it off the wall when it's full, and you have this whole book of just art from your kids, which is great. I've got a little plate for my son that he did in school, and I was like, never going to use this, but every time I look at it, it's going to make me happy. We're good.
Yeah, and there, that people creating things to fill a need. You're just getting started. How old is your son?
3.
He's just getting started. He isn't even in school yet. Once it's like every week they come home with a folder full of projects that they did at school and that they're doing at home, and some things you want to hang on to, things with their handprints. So having a way to collect that was a smart move for whoever invented that little frame that collects the actual original pieces, or the boxes that keep, I'm not one to, I know my mom and I laugh at this. We're not the type to keep every little thing. And so I have to, and my husband's like, don't throw that away. And I'm like, well, we can't keep a box.
We'll just keep it in boxes.
Right. And so we keep things in boxes. Some things, it's a little homework assignment or whatever, but some things we do keep forever. So yeah, serving purposes, adding benefit.
Charlotte had a rule. It was if the art itself was done with their hands or feet, we keep it. But if it's just a drawing or something they sketched on, we'll look at it, we'll hang it up, we'll appreciate it for a while, but we'll eventually part ways with that.
Yeah.
But it's like if it's a hand, whether it's cut out or whatever, like a hand turkey, whatever it may be, with their foot, hands, or some part that's like to commemorate that point in time, like your hand used to be this big or whatever. She's like, that part I have more of emotional connection to. And them coming home and saying, I colored this photo of Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, I get that. I keep all the photos. So my 2 youngest are in a daycare. And even the oldest, they'll send pictures on a text thread or whatever. But my youngest, she'll send at the end of the month, she'll send the printed photos. And I keep all of those because they're candid photos at school where I wasn't. When they're home, I've got all my photos on my phone. I can print the ones that I want. Like I've got the memories that I was privy to. But those moments in school when they're like, holding up their project and they've got this goofy face covered in mud and, it's just like, somebody else took that photo, I want to remember it. Like, I want to keep that photo, so I'll keep that. But everybody's got a different system by which they organize their kids' projects. But art adds to that. I have a painting that we were literally just trying to kill one more hour of a day when Madeline, it was 2019, so Madeline was 1-ish, maybe 15 months. And I unrolled a canvas because I'm an artist and I have rolls.
You have rolls of canvas.
I have rolls of canvas. I unrolled a canvas and I was smart about this. Usually I just kind of give her primary colors and that just turns into brown. So pro tip, if you want to do a project with your kids, don't give them red, blue, and yellow because that turns brown. So choose colors that are aesthetically pleasing, so whatever. I picked out some colors and I squeezed them all out and I let her just slip and slide on that canvas. The whole activity lasted 15 minutes. It took 30 minutes to clean her up. But I took that canvas when it dried and I stretched it around stretcher bars and I made it into like this big painting. And it's like 5 feet by 5 feet square and it hangs in our living room.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was simple.
Cool.
It was simple. And you could see her little fingerprints and her little footprints like walking and slipping and sliding and globs of paint. And they're, nice colors. It's like a blue, white, gold, orange montage. But it's her little footprints. That's cute. I like that.
So you do like abstract art?
When it's got my baby slippers in it, yes, I do. And when I can control the situation. So that's another thing. People ask me all the time, oh, do you paint with your children? No, I don't.
It's like asking if I file a tax return with my kid.
It's, does your son sit on your lap while you're typing? No, that's chaos. Oh.
Thank you to our wonderful sponsor, Lake Men's Health Center with Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group. Guys, I know it's tough to get out and go to the doctor. I know it's challenging to find time in our busy days, but I promise you, signing up to be a part of this group with Dr. Curtis Chastain and Dr. Tyler Boudreau, you won't regret it for several reasons, but most of those being the fact of the time it saves, where you're able to get in on the same day, get that appointment done, and spend that time you need to talk with them about what your health goals and concerns are, as well as ensuring that the financial investments you have, you will be able to live out and see those come to fruition. So if you're an investing guy, you know all about and planning for the future and investing in the future. There's no other more important thing to invest in than your health. Make sure you go check them out. Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group Men's Health Center, and tell them Patty G sent you.
I live a very stress-free life. I'm very chill. I am not an anxious person. But if my kids walk into the studio, because I work in oil paints now, and so exclusively, so I'm like, don't do anything. Because my daughter will turn around. She'll come in and say, what are you doing? And then I'll say, no, shoot. She'll turn around and her ponytail will go whoosh, through the palette. And then I have to catch her by the hair and like comb out and pick out oil paint. Oil paint spreads like wildfire. It goes everywhere. And it, toxic a little bit. So gotta watch that. So yeah.
I hear Dawn dish soap works really well.
It does, yeah. Yeah. And then I've got this like orange, the stuff that the car mechanics use on their hands. Yep. It's like that gritty orange stuff. That's what I use for everything. So we're real classy.
But it works. It's effective.
Oh yeah, it gets it off.
So what was it like getting that first wedding live painting piece?
Yes, very good question. What was it like? I at the time was broke. I wasn't broke. I was making it. Like paid. When I say paycheck to paycheck, there is no paycheck. It is you do a job and you get paid for the job, and then you like yay, and then you hustle for the next. It's like every single penny that comes in when you're an entrepreneur and you have no other. This isn't your side gig. When this is all of your income, it's like you are hustling at all times. And there's peaks of like productivity, like painting productivity, and then there's marketing periods, and you have to find a balance because you can't just paint without marketing because the pipeline dries up. Right. And you can't just market without producing because then you get backed up and then the client experience goes down the drain. Ask me how I know. Literally.
How do you know?
It's hard. Delivering a painting and being commissioned by somebody is an experience. It's a full, even weddings, like it is client experience 101. And so if you take on too much, or if you don't do a good job, or you don't communicate or respond in a timely manner, the whole experience is just, you're going to get a bad review, or they may not leave a review, or they may tell your friends, yeah, we love the painting, but it was a pain in the butt to get her on the phone or whatever, Yeah. So when my friend Chelsea, hi Chelsea, when Chelsea got engaged and she asked me to paint at her wedding, she sent me a Facebook message and says, "Hey girl, I have this great idea. I want you to paint at my wedding. Like, we'll pay you." And I said, no.
You said no?
I said, no, because at the time when people would come over to my house while I was painting, I couldn't focus. Like I would have a friend come over and I wouldn't be able to focus on what I was doing, and we would just end up hanging out, or, the productivity was nil. And so I could not imagine getting anything done, like being productive. I didn't see that as a possibility. So I Googled. It wasn't even the proper keyword. It was just like painting at wedding live question. It was very primitive. Like, what is this? And there were a few people in the country who were doing it. There were like 5. I found 5 websites that came up, and all of those people are friends of mine now. Like, it's such a tight community. I love it. Very grateful. But I just kind of did a little research on their websites and, what did it, like I read about this service. What is this? I looked at the portfolio, and everybody had ranges of like, realism and abstract, and looked at the brush. Like I zoomed in because as an artist I'm like, how are they layering, like what's the process here? And I responded and said, okay, I'll do it because you're asking, and of course I'm going to say yes, but expectations, I don't know what you're expecting, but I have nothing to show. Like, I've never done this before, so let's just agree that if we don't, I'll paint something and I think it'll be good. She said, yeah, it's gonna be good, I trust you. And I said, look, if you don't like it, or if it's not what you expected, I'll paint it from the studio after. I'll start it over. Because I knew I had confidence in that ability.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, done. Book me. So I booked her. I put her name on her date the next year. Like when her wedding was the following year, I put her to Chelsea's wedding. And then she paid me a deposit, which was like, I think I charged her like $1,600, which to me was 2 months rent. So and this was half of what other artists were charging.
Okay, I was about to say, where'd you get the
where
first
on earth,
pricing comes
Where on
up
earth did I get that number exactly?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I showed her what other people were charging, and I said, here's half. I think that this is worth it, right? And it was like a 24 by 36 inch painting. So it was 2 feet by 2 feet by 3 feet. Yeah. And which is like poster size. And so it was big. Like, that's a big painting to do in 4 hours. And I did. I painted for 4 hours and painted the whole canvas, and nobody had faces, but at the time I wasn't painting facial features like I am now. And anyway, so she booked me, she paid me, and I was like, wait a minute, this could be a thing. Like, I had not done a wedding. I had one conversation. Somebody paid me to promise to paint at their wedding next year. And I got on I used my graphic design skills and I designed a little promo. hire me to paint at your wedding. And I put it on Facebook and started marketing myself as a live wedding painter. And I had so many conversations. This was in 2015.
Okay.
So very early days, although there were people who were doing it a couple years prior to that.
So you're almost a decade into this.
Yes, this is my 10th year.
Wow.
And I have loved it. I fell in love, you guys. I fell in love. And I so much so that I've said no to a lot of other types of jobs. Like I don't do murals anymore. I'll do the occasional mural. But I don't do as many pet portraits. Occasionally, like once a year, I'll open up commissions so people will send me photos because they wish they would have had that for their wedding, and so I'll paint their wedding photo, whatever photo they want. I'll create a painting, so you could still have that, which allows me to serve more people. It's not just the people getting married in 6 months. It's anybody. Yeah, so that's how I felt about it. To answer your question, I wasn't a huge fan, and then when she actually paid me, I was like, okay.
You were immediately a fan.
I was like, let's talk about this. And then the more that I practiced answering questions, like, what do you want to know? Let me explain to you this whole. And this was just based on what I read on other people's websites and what I could imagine happening. Mm-hmm. And I booked and painted at 2 weddings before I even got to hers. So I booked 2 other weddings and painted at them, and so I had that experience. And my very first wedding that I ever painted at was an ex-boyfriend's, and it was so much fun. It was funny. It's a funny story, because you could just imagine the coincidence of that. But it was so much fun, and it was such a good experience for me because I knew a lot of people at the wedding. So the nerves, the anxiety, the pressure of performing in front of strangers was dulled a little bit. Like I was very much still experiencing pressure and, this performance anxiety, but it was like, oh, hi. Like people were very validating and, encouraging, like, this is looking great. And it was a bigger canvas than that. It was like a 30 by 40 inch. So that's a big canvas. That was my very first wedding, was a 30 by 40.
You just went out there and did it all.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, I loved it. It was so much fun. It's the perfect, there's a term called ikigai. I don't know if you've heard of the Japanese term. Ikigai. Mm-hmm.
No.
It's IKIGAI. And it is the intersection between doing what you love and what you're good at and what people will pay for. It's that center, that intersection right there.
Got it.
And it's just a concept, but it's something I learned a while back, and that live wedding painting is that for me. It is the perfect blending of my artistic abilities, what people are interested in, and what is like fulfilling to me, what makes me happy as an extrovert.
Right.
So blending, like I can't sit behind a desk.
No, and you're not anywhere close to sitting behind a desk for the wedding paintings.
Not for the wedding. No, no, absolutely not. In fact, when I get there 2 hours, I get to the venue 2 hours ahead of time. And I'll put in AirPods and just kind of get like zone in. And then it's like, I look up and the room's filling with people, and it's like, oh, gotta be on point now. And then I'm entertaining the whole time. I'm making eye contact, smiling, like engaging. I'll let people come up and paint on the painting, and it's very engaging. It's very fun.
Yeah, it's an activity of the event.
It is. And it's, in the very beginning stages, there's a lot of confusion if people haven't heard about it before. They're like, do you work for the venue? Or are you just here? Can the couple buy this later? And I'm like, oh, no. They hired me to be here. This is your entertainment.
Like, who are you?
Yeah.
And
like, what is happening? And then, of course, the beginning stages of a painting are hideous. And so if you're an artist, I'll say this. If you're an artist, which I am, the vulnerability that comes with creating a painting is on display. So you have to get over the fear of judgment, like during the first 3 hours of the event, because the painting looks like crap. It really does. It's ugly. It's disordered. You have a process. You're layering. You're working with the composition. I have to consider light sources that aren't there yet. If I'm painting a reception and the first dance is at 9 and there's going to be a spotlight and smoke around the dance floor, and I get there at 4. I have to plan for how I'm going to hit, like what light source, like there's a lot of planning, and there's a lot of, I know what it's going to look like. I know what's going to happen. Don't worry. So I get a lot of people coming up and looking at it like, and then at the end of the night,
you know what you're doing?
Yes. And they'll like whisper to each other right behind me. And so there's a lot of like, there's a lot of nerves there that, I have learned to ignore, because at the end of the night, they're always like, I am so impressed and surprised because this was not looking good at the beginning. And I was like, I know you thought that. I thought that. I agree.
How many people actually come up to you and make that comment?
Oh, at least one every wedding.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every wedding, somebody will come up to you. Let me guess. The age demographic trends to be more advanced.
Yeah, I would say it's usually like an aunt or an uncle.
A more advanced person in their life. Mm-hmm. They don't trust the process.
I guess not. They allow themselves to be surprised. They make a decision about how they feel, and then, or they just verbalize it. Maybe young people just keep that to themselves and then shower the affirmations at the end.
Well, they also probably have seen it on social media before.
Yeah, so but a lot of people haven't. Like I'm to this day, even in my hometown, I travel a lot too. So I'll be the first person the whole wedding party has even heard of in, Arkansas or whatever. But even in New Orleans, I'll have people like, "Oh, I've never seen this before. What are you doing?" Young people, young and old. It's so cool. It's very gratifying to know that this isn't like this is not trending out. This is something that people are enjoying watching and enjoying, like, as it's happening now. And it's been around for 15 plus years. It's been around since the Renaissance. It's just making a resurgence now, and they're wanting that. And now there are more options. So before, like 10 years ago, there were not many artists. People were being flown all over the world, all over the country, and they are today because people are doing the research, which I'm grateful for. Clients, brides, planners are doing their research to figure out what art style they actually like, not just give me the closest live wedding painter. They're trying to figure out because there are so many options now. So artists have a unique it's like a thumbprint, okay?
Yeah, everyone's different.
Right. And I could maybe replicate a style in my studio given study and time and practice. But when I'm standing up and I have 4 hours and I'm looking at a blank canvas and I need to finish it in 4 hours, I can only create what organically comes out of my arm, okay? I can't replicate a style. And so whoever you're hiring, whatever their portfolio is showing, like, that's what they can do. So people are just educating themselves. And if I'm flown out to California or Italy or whatever, it's because that planner did their research.
Welcome to the brand new Falaya mobile app. We took all the same tech that's helped hundreds of people sell their homes themselves and packed it into an easy to use app for your phone. When you download the Falaya mobile app on either the Apple or Android App Store, you'll immediately be able to see the power of this game-changing tool. From the seller's dashboard, you can navigate to all the information that you need. We intentionally separated everything into key groups, such as tasks to be completed, buyer leads for your listing, and contact information for everyone involved through closing. When you get an offer on your property, you can simply review and respond all within the app. No matter where you are in the world, you'll be able to monitor everything that's going on with your property from listed to sold. It's truly the power of Falaya in the palm of your hand. Download the app and see for yourself. Falaya, it's real estate reimagined.
And if there's ever a question of like the cost or the budget, I encourage them to look at other artists, because I would rather them make a decision. I would rather them hire me because they want me and not because, I undercut the other guy by $200. I hate when people do that.
Yeah.
That's just.
We went with you because you were cheaper.
Yeah. Well, I get a lot of, I asked this person and they said that they would charge $200 less. Can you beat that? And maybe if I was just getting started in my career and I just wanted the bookings, like, I'd be like, yeah, I'll come down $20, or I'll throw in a print. Nowadays, because my plate is full, I'm fortunate to where I don't have to hunt like that. Nowadays, it's like, I love that you're doing your research and I admire the kahunas on this other artist. Just so you know, this artist is the type of person, like the person who is going to do that kind of business. So good luck. I hope that you love their work. Also, take a look at their portfolio. Don't just go to the second website that came up on Google. It's just educating, and then some people have said, thank you, I appreciate that. We're going to go with the cheaper guy. And I'm like, great, happy wedding, happy day.
Yeah.
And then some people come back and they're like, oh, we looked at their, we ended up not going with them. We'd love to book with you. And I'm like, great, happy day. I love this for you and for me. This is, like I would much rather, I've been doing this for 10 years. I'd rather an authentic connection.
Yeah. You want somebody to book with you because they want to book with you, not because someone else was more expensive or someone else, whatever it is, you want them to look at the work and say, I love your style.
Mm-hmm.
It matches what I appreciate.
Yeah.
And so that's why I want to book with you.
Yes. Yeah. This is not a budgeting, this is not a thing to budget for, like you can, and now that I've been in the wedding industry for so long, I know the difference between like florists that charge between $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, and $20,000 and up. I know the difference between a photographer, like why they charge so much. If I had 2 years under my belt, I would not be charging. I did not and could not imagine charging what I charge today 10 years down the road. And pricing is determined by many different things. Desirability, one of them, how full my plate is, what my goals are for my business and my family, like there's a lot that goes into that. So, and what's the saying? Your budget does not determine my prices or something like that. And
I don't know if that's a saying, but it's a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact. And I wish I could paint for it. And I do pro bono paintings all the time. I have a pro bono painting coming up on Friday because I know the person, the father of the groom, and I do a giveaway. I used to do a giveaway every year. I haven't done one in a couple of years. I keep having babies and my calendar keeps filling up. That's a whole nother thing. Being a woman who is working and traveling and being a mother who is working and traveling. I've never envied a man, but there's something about the postpartum period, like you have to plan. Like I go back to work like a month after I have a baby, which is fast for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I have to plan for if I'm nursing, if I'm like how I'm feeling, what my physical body is like how much sleep I'm working on. If I'm getting up every 2 hours and I have to stay up for 8, what's
you got to stay on your feet
like?
for 4 hours.
You got to stay on your feet for 8 hours and you got to be away from the baby for longer than that. And then if I'm nursing, that means I have to stop and pump every 2 hours to keep up with that supply because that's a full-time job. TMI, I'm pretty sure, but it's a situation, like I have to go sit in a bathroom stall and pump every 2 hours at a wedding, which is taking time away from the job. It's just some things I'm like, guys have it so easy. But also I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm ready for another one. Bring it on. We come from big families, so love that. Love that for us.
It makes being the entrepreneur a little difficult, but it's all part of the life that we choose.
Yeah, it's rewarding. And I have to say, being married to an entrepreneur, he's a lawyer, but he runs his own firm. Him and his dad run their own firm. He gets it. And I don't think, we talk about this all the time. He and I would not do well with somebody who did not support in the same way. I'm not complaining that he's not home at 5:30 every day. His day starts at 5 o'clock. When everybody else goes home to their families, then he can focus. Then his phone stops ringing and he can get his billable hours in. So my husband comes home at 10 o'clock during the week. And then on the weekends when I travel, he's home with his kids, getting to know his kids, spending time with it. He knows his kids. He's never asking me silly questions like, what are they eating? Are they allergic to anything? He knows them, which is such a gift to both of us, And then he's not, if I say, hey, I have an opportunity to go to this state and I have to leave Friday night, the job's on a Saturday, and I'll be back Sunday morning as early as I can. He says, yeah, I got it. Go ahead. Who would do that? It's just a great thing we've got. I'm very fortunate. We both are.
Yeah, you have to have that understanding partner in your life who can say, yeah, go take this opportunity, go do it.
Yeah.
It's the ones that are, well, you sure? You're really sure you need to have, that's the questions.
Or just, no. He tells me all the time, can you quit? We miss you. We miss you. It went from, he would like me to travel less to, hey, you're done with this, right? And every time I'm like, will you quit so you can be home with us more? No, you do what you love. Right. You do what you love. And I'm helping support the family as well. And it brings me joy. And I tell him, I'm like, just a warning, if I quit this job, I will start something else. I have that drive now. Mm-hmm. I didn't when I was in college. I didn't ever when I was a kid. But now that it's there,
it's hard to turn it off.
Oh my gosh, it's impossible.
Yeah.
Which makes balancing home life with work from home, it makes that very difficult. And so it's more of finding harmony. It's more of, we call it greasing the squeakiest wheel. So whatever wheel is squeaking, it's like, I got to focus on this. We got to fix this so that I can, that's so that we can achieve harmony again.
Yeah. And I think communication is kind of at the root of all of that.
Yeah.
If you don't talk, like, there's going to be issues, there's going to be problems.
Yeah.
As long as you talk and you communicate, you can work through whatever problems pop up.
Exactly.
Rather than respond and react.
You're so
which
wise.
can
It sounds
often
like you
turn
have
bad.
experience in this.
Yeah. Doing this for 5 years is a lot of late nights.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of time away.
Yeah.
And there's random day trips to different states that you have to go on sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's a balancing act, but being able to be open and honest and talk through each of them is critical.
Yeah.
And
And
so
it's not always possible. Like, there are
No.
arguments, and, we got 2 alphas in a household. So there's,
that's bound to happen.
oh, yeah.
That's bound to happen. But it's at some point somebody not necessarily has to give in, but just has to understand.
Our thing is, I love you more than the fight. We could
There
be
you go.
like snarling at each other, and it's like, I love you more than the fight. And then it's like a verbal, okay, I do. I love you more than the fight. I'm sorry.
Sorry, let's got it.
Yeah. I
Move
still think
on.
I'm right. I still think you're right.
I'm not saying you win.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to say I'm choosing. I'm
choo-
not saying you win. And then the repeat, like when he repeats it or when I repeat it to him,
Mhm.
then it's a concession that we're choosing to let it go, both of us.
Mhm.
And so there's no there's no pride hurt. There's no loss. And there's no, it's mutual. Like, life.
It's like soccer. There can be a win, loss, and a draw.
The draw. Man, if I watched soccer, I knew it. No, I do. I know what you're talking about.
I don't watch soccer. Come on, I watch Ted Lasso.
What's a draw? Great show.
Exactly. But you're over here kind of still going beyond the wedding paintings. You're doing more and more beyond that.
Yeah.
Let's dabble there.
Yeah. So I do live wedding painting. I love it. It's my thing. I'm an artist. I travel, and it's my main income. It's everything. But in order to, let's see, I want to help other artists find success. So I found success. I know it's possible. I know that there are 2 main components. You have to put the service of others first. You have to put the bringing joy to others and making memorable client experiences. Like, you have to put your clients first, and putting others first includes putting like family first. And in order to put your family first, you have to plan to turn off work to be with them. Like, there's a lot of effort that goes into making sure the person that you're dealing with feels the most important person in the room. And I went off on a tangent. So it's important to put others first, and it's also important to be the best artist that you can be. And artists have been asking me, other artists around the country have been DMing me and texting me and emailing, whatever contact mode they choose. They're asking me like one-off questions. How do you do this? How do you paint faces so small? How do you, what contract do you have? Like, what's in your contract? Like, they were asking me one question about one part of the business, but then when I looked at their feed, or when I asked, well, how's everything look? It was like, that wasn't what they needed to work on. It's like, that's not even important. Here's the answer. And I was sending voice messages just like, oh, here's the answer. Here's the answer. And it was the same question, the same answer every time. And so I was like, okay, there's got to be a way to serve more people. And so I decided to create an online course. And that was a dream that I had. It was a decision that I made in 2019.
Okay.
So I had just had my first child in 2019, and I signed up for an online course to teach me how to do online courses, because ever since I started my business, I really want to do something well, like out the gate, because I hate like looking back and saying, oh, if I'd have just put in a little effort. Anyway, so I signed up for this course, and I dove in and I dreamed up this course, and I knew what I wanted to teach. And then COVID happened, and then we got pregnant. And so then we were, trying to just survive. I had to cancel all of my weddings for 2020. There were a lot of return deposits because I chose character over being right and retaining those retainers. So, that was a whole nother story. But I still wanted to do the course. And then after 2020, I'm kind of taking you on a journey here.
Yeah,
After
we're here for the journey.
It is quite a journey. And then it's such a blur too. The past 5 years have been a complete blur. During 2020, there was a lot of just kind of survival. You know, I did a lot of studio work because we weren't traveling that much. And then there were a lot of pushing dates back to 2021. And then all the people that were going to get married in 2021 still got married in 2021. So I did like 70 weddings that year.
70?
Yes. And I have friends that do 100 weddings a year. Like, you know,
so that's just
lot.
doing Friday, Saturday weddings.
Friday, Saturday, sometimes Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes Friday, Saturday, Sunday in 3 different states. All over. Hopping and painting.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was overwhelming. I think in the month of July of 2021, I did 7 weddings all out of state. And one of them, the most memorable, I had a wedding in Estes Park, which is like a 2-3 hour drive from the airport. So I had to get to Colorado, drive up to the mountains. I was running a fever, so it was like a horrible night. I was sick as a dog all night, and the fever broke, but I was exhausted. I had to do the job. It was a 4-foot by 5-foot painting in the mountains that I had to assemble when I got there. So I had to stretch this canvas, do the painting. I painted for 7 hours. I went to bed that night. I got it almost done. I almost finished it. I had to do a couple faces and like some little touch-ups, but I'm so proud of myself. I did so much. And then I went to bed, and when I woke up at 5 o'clock, I drove back to the airport to fly to Montana for a wedding that night.
That night?
So I did a Friday wedding in Estes Park, a Saturday wedding in Montana, and then I flew back to Colorado because I booked an Airbnb for like 5 nights to finish the painting. And then I finished it and then rolled it all up and then drove it an hour out of the way to the bride's mother's house. It just worked out that way. I could have shipped it, but you know, just logistics. It's a lot of logistics when you're traveling with a painting.
Yeah.
And then flew to El Paso to see my sister who was living there in an army base with her husband at the time. And then I flew home. So that was like, that was a tough month. That was a big, you know, it was a lot of that. And then I had 2 kids at the time, and we were trying for a third, and it was, you know, it was just exhausting. And so I took a 2-month break. I was burnt out. Burnout is real.
Good call. It's very real.
And I just checked out, and I learned 2 things during that break. I learned that the world does not stop turning if you take a break. So
it's weird. People don't break when you break.
And you need the break. Like, people are so afraid. Entrepreneurs are so afraid to stop. You know? They're just so afraid because of this effort. I get it, because of the effort to get that ball moving. Like, it takes so much effort, and then to keep it moving. And if you're a one-man show, or if you've got employees, like I have employees, so you got to pay their, you know, so like you're so afraid to stop. And anyway, so I took a 2-month break with no preparation, and then came back, and you know, I think I had deposits coming in for payments for weddings that were coming up. So that's kind of a steady, I have it spaced out to where all of my invoices are in chunks. And so it's kind of a steady income throughout the year. And which of course I feel like I should clarify, a lot of that goes into a holding account, but it's still, you know, just in case I have to cancel, but right. You know, it's still,
you have a certain percentage of deposits you have to maintain just to cover
100%. Yeah. In fact, I think I pay myself a very small wage. Everything is in a holding account. Oh, I digress. I realized that, you know, okay, I really needed the break. It wasn't healthy, and I should never do that to myself again. So I decided to slow it up. You know, I decided for the goal to be not to travel out of state more than once a month. You know, like I really needed to set some boundaries. I wanted to nurture relationships with local vendors, local planners. Like it was kind of a shift.
Yeah.
Now that was not as easy because up until that point, I have a contractor who works for me who handles my website and my SEO. And so my website shows up at the top of Google all over the place, like all over the world. And so I still get these inquiries. So it's, you know, it's like hand picking which ones I'm able to do, which ones make sense. And anyway, I feel like I went completely off the rails. You asked about the course. So I had this plan to do the course in 2019. And then in 2021, we did end up getting pregnant with Hazel. And I was like, I still want to do this course. Like, when am I going to do this? I don't want to put it off. People are still asking me these questions. People are, after 2020, and then there was like this boom in the wedding industry, live wedding painters were coming out of the woodworks. And they were inexperienced. They were not trained. They were causing such bad experiences for the client. Most of them did great. They did fine. Not very well trained artistically, to handle the compositions and the challenge of what we have to do in 4 hours, but still, creating good paintings and good experiences. But a lot of them were creating poor experiences, and people were starting to post bad reviews, and there are like Reddit threads.
Don't use a live wedding painter.
Yeah, it was a waste of money.
Top 3 reasons not to use the live wedding painter.
Yeah, I mean, they're just, people were trash talking wedding painters in general, and this was my livelihood, and this is something that I'm very proud of, and we've got a whole industry, and that was another reason why I was like, okay, I need to provide something, some sort of education, some sort of opportunity to give people a boost in the right direction. All these people that are coming out and they have no answer, they're asking questions. I'm getting like, where do you get your easel? And I'll just send them a link. I was never gatekeeping anything. What's in your contract here? Don't forget to add this clause. It's important, so it was coming from a place of generosity, but it was also like, I need to help the industry. I need to do my part, whatever that is for the industry.
Yeah. And oftentimes generosity, if gone too far, can lead to burnout.
Yeah. Yeah. You just take too much on. You're just too nice of a person, Pat, when you're too nice of a person. Yeah. So I was, it was the fall of 2021. I'm getting my years crossed. I think I've worked really, really hard for another year. I had the burnout, and then I worked another year. And then in the fall of 2022, I got pregnant with Hazel because I had her in 2023 in July. And I created the course between January and March of 2023. And then we launched the course. I had 40 people sign up, and we went through the course. It ended, and 2 weeks later I had a baby. And then I took 6 months off.
It's perfect timing.
It was perfect timing. It was such a big undertaking. We filmed it. It's a 10-week course. It's got 50 plus like professionally recorded videos. I had a wedding videographer friend of mine edit everything. Very in depth, very teleprompted lessons, very in depth. And all the time, all that while I was painting at weddings on the weekends. I was pregnant, so there's that physical exhaustion that comes with that. And then I took a very long break after that. And I knew during that break, I was completely refreshed, completely rested. And I knew it was so fulfilling. It did so well. This is something that I want to do moving forward. So I don't want to stop wedding painting. Like, I don't want to stop traveling. I'm not going to stop. I love it. I love what I do. And it is the best job. Like, it is. I do love the studio paintings, but they're still and quiet, and they take longer in my studio, because the adrenaline isn't there. The project itself, like the conditions are not there. And so I like standing and painting in front of a crowd, and with the challenge of entertaining and the challenge of finishing a painting in a few hours, and the challenge of painting. A lot of times I'll paint the same venue over and over again. I've painted certain venues in Baton Rouge countless times. So what's the challenge this time? How am I going to do it differently? How am I going to make it this special, unique for this couple? So education, online course. I do coaching whenever people want, tailored mentorship for their particular situation, where they are in their career, where they're located,
Right.
Like the city they live in has a lot to do with whether they're going to be booming or not, or if they should expand. But some cities, it's like, oh, you could throw a rock and hit a wedding planner. Go out and get you some business,
Yeah, you don't need to expand.
Yeah, you don't have to travel, but, just form relationships, and they'll send you clients, and, you can go from there. But other people do have to be more strategic about it. So we talk about that. And then I just recently started a podcast, which is, by the time this episode comes out, it will be live. That is a lot of work. This is a lot of work, Pat. Why do we do this?
Because we like the drive.
Yeah.
We like the game. We like actually doing the activity, and we don't do it just for an end goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. We like the process.
I like to talk. I don't know about you.
So what's the show about? How did this, what is the origin story of this show, this podcast?
The origins was in my course, we have weekly live Q&As. Okay. And the course itself is very heavy and very meaty and fruitful. Okay. Very encouraging, a lot of information, a lot of assignments. But the live Q&As it's like what I knew in my head and in my heart, and answering specific questions. The guidance there was so free flowing, and it was so fruitful based on feedback that I received from my students and also how I felt about it. Because you need metrics, you can't just be like, oh, I felt really good about that, I'm only going to do that.
Yeah. You need some form of analytics trickling in to a degree.
What is the data? What are people looking for? Yeah. If you're an entrepreneur and you run a business, there is a meeting of the minds. There has to be a, what do I want to do, but also what do people want to pay for? Like what's my popular product? So that and the podcast, can I share the podcast?
Yeah, sure.
My podcast is called The Composed Artist.
The Composed Artist.
Yes. And I had this plan to title it The Composed Artist before it even came to fruition, because we're not, it's the effort, it's the focused desire and the focused daily effort to be composed, to have it together, to have harmony in your life and in your work. It's hard to do as an artist. Like your brain, like I see the world differently. When I walked in, I was looking at all these ambient lights that you've got. I was like, how would I paint that? Because you can't just use red. You can't just use blue. So every room I enter, when I'm driving, how the lights and the shadows play through the trees, like that's how I see the world. And I want to challenge myself to execute that in paint. Like that's just how I see the world. It's just crazy. Yeah. And most artists think that way. They think, like you just live in a different world in your brain. And so I love listening to podcasts where they talk about art, because it challenges you to talk about something that you're thinking and feeling and,
And you're writing down and putting on canvas.
Yeah. But how you do it, like talking about how I mix paint and how I apply it, and what the goal is, and the translucency and the brand of paint, and why you do thicker paint over thin, like just all these things. I love talking about that, and I love listening to people talk about it. You grow. You develop intelligence whenever you're talking about something challenging like that.
Yeah.
And it's like talking about math. Some people, the intelligence is just way up here. So I just wanted to provide a space for people to resonate and to relate and feel seen. And artists spending their days in their studio, it's very lonely. Even as I travel all the time, and I'm in rooms with hundreds of people all the time. But it's lonely when you're standing there. You're trying to achieve a solitary task. You're working towards a goal, and then you go and you sleep in a hotel, and you're just kind of like a shadow in the day and the night. You're just kind of coming and going, rental cars, and then you get home and you're in your studio. And I wanted to bring some sort of like, hey, you're not alone. We're here too. Like, we're talking about this. We're having these conversations. And then working moms, like people who are artists, who are having this constant desire to work and create, but also have, kids in the other room. Like, I can't. Chris is like, well, I'll be here. I'll watch the kids for the next 2 hours. You go finish that job, because I know you're thinking about it. And I'll go in there and I'll stack canvases up on the doors so the kids can't see me. And I hear them squealing in the other room, and I'm like, I can't focus on this.
Yeah.
Because they're there. That's where my heart wants to be. But when I'm in the other room with them and they're playing and I know I've got a deadline, my heart is pulling in the studio. It's such a challenge. And I know other people feel the same way. So I wanted to provide a space for them there. And I like podcasts. I like listening to podcasts. So I wanted to provide a platform for people like me to come and have conversations. So there's elements of, solo episodes where I share information or like tips on how I, achieve balance or harmony in my work and home life. And then we'll have guests on who share, about their life and what they feel is successful in what their life looks like, how they would define success and composure and things like that.
And how have the first few episodes gone for you so far?
Very challenging in a way that's, I've said the things that are recorded are coming from my heart, like there are things that I would tell anybody, one person or a group of people. I'm speaking at a conference in January, and so I'm looking at talking to a room full of people, and I'm very excited about that because that's a different kind of environment as a presenter, right? We're recording the episodes. We're recording the podcasts on a video platform as well. We're putting it on YouTube so that we can, there's that element as well. I can show my studio. I can do demonstrations if I need to. I'm very excited about that and turning it into some kind of a YouTube channel. And then we're going to be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and other platforms like that where people can listen on the go. That's how I consume podcasts, is Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So trying to meet people where they're at and then, bring those interviews and conversations. Because the first few I recorded as solo episodes, I'm looking at a camera screen and, trying to not let my mind wander and trying to, and it's not teleprompted. It's completely unscripted. I've got an outline for what I want to say.
Right.
But it's a challenge.
The thoughts are there.
The thoughts are there. And then the transition, like what all I want to talk about, I've talked about before ad nauseum. And so, but now it's like, look at a camera and then don't get distracted and then make it natural and make it candid. And then remember what the next thing you're going to say is. Oh yeah. So it's my next project.
Yeah, and doing a solo podcast, which I've only done one, which was my first episode.
Yeah,
and it was like I think a 12-minute show or something like that.
I had to talk for an hour.
Right. So I quickly learned I could not do that.
Yeah.
Like that's not tough. Me. That's not my style. There's some people that can. They do it very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
I quickly realized I could not because it's hitting record and just going.
Mm-hmm.
Like that to me is so much, like it's being able to look at the camera and not interact with somebody, being extroverted here. It's hard to not have somebody reciprocate my feelings or, read their body language or something. Like I've switched from doing phone interviews with people to say, let's do Zoom, let's do Teams. I have to see you.
Yeah.
I can talk to you on the phone and we can work through whatever we need to, but in my preferred method, it's going to be a FaceTime or it's going to be a Zoom or it's going to be a Teams, whatever it is. And doing the podcast, it's tough to sit and look at a camera. And if you're sitting here listening and thinking you can, I challenge you to do it for like however long you can.
Yeah.
It's not easy. But when you listen back to it, you will often then find yourself in a critique mode, I'm sure. Where you're like, why did I say this? Why did I say that? Oh, I need to edit this out. I need to edit this. I need to change this. Let me go re-record this segment because I think I can do it better. And it's going to be tough to not do that.
Yeah, I've been trying not to.
Because you have to not do that. Like from here, Jay's going to take this, he's going to plug it and play it, and it's going to be done.
Yeah.
Because if we were to listen back to this show, we're going to think of all the things that should have been said, all the things that the paths we should have gone down. You're going to think of 10 tangents that you went on that you didn't like you went on, but the listeners are going to find fascinating.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, this is fantastic. And it's that self-critique when you're doing a solo show that's just going to get you at night that you have to work through.
Yes.
And it's going to be fun, though.
Yes. Yeah, fun.
Because you get to
Very
see
exciting.
the final product published.
Mm-hmm.
You get to get that feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Where by the time this is airing, people are going to be all about your show and subscribing.
Yeah.
And Apple's coming out with their video podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
and Spotify's already there.
Yeah.
So then all you got to do is get on the right hosting sites, and you can push it out in that way.
Yeah, I'm excited. And commenting, too. So you can get
That's
real-time
right, the comments
feedback.
are there, too.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that because then I like the feedback. I've been you do what you do long enough that you realize you don't know everything, and you're very much welcoming to feedback and it's just data. Somebody tells me it was boring and they hated it. Give me more. Why was it boring? Why was it boring for you? What did I do? Or what, just
Those people are
feedback.
fun to go down little rabbit holes with.
I just start a conversation, and then if people make out to be a jerk, that it just looks bad on them, and you just be a duck. You just let it roll off your back and don't take things too personally. I've had a couple bad experiences in my professional career, where it eats you up because if you put others first and they're not satisfied or they give you a hard time about it, that hurts. And then you're an artist and you create something from scratch, and it is your baby. Like every painting is like, I created that, and I'm proud of every one. Some of them I'm really proud of, really impressed with, and some are like, okay, I did it.
It's done. It's
done.
over. Here,
Mm-hmm.
I hope you love it.
Yeah, but even now, and ever since I switched to oils, I take them back to the studio. So if it's not perfect, then I make it to where it's like I feel good about this. But if somebody is like, I'm just so disappointed. I'm just so dissatisfied. I'm like, okay, well, I call them. Tell me
Why
what.
are you dissatisfied?
Yeah, what did I do wrong? Where am I missing the mark? Let's get on the same page. And this one person in particular could not give me an answer. It was just a blanket. You just did, I'm just disappointed.
You didn't do it for me.
Yeah, and I'm like, and after I did more than was required. I was like, okay, I'm gonna send you some money back because I would hate for you to be completely dissatisfied, but we are not seeing eye to eye, and we need to close this door. We're like, we need to part ways here,
right?
Because I don't want to bother you anymore.
Yeah, you're not. There's no fruit coming from this conversation.
Yeah,
we're done.
And it wasn't even the bride; it was the mom. So it was just the client. It's a lot. It's a dance. Sometimes it's perfect and effortless and flawless, and sometimes it's like, ooh, okay, close the door on that chapter as soon as possible. You need your heart, your clients. You need to move on.
Yeah, go on to the next one. That's eagerly waiting for your work,
and that's only happened twice. Yeah, and in 10 years.
I'd say you're doing pretty good.
I hope it doesn't happen again.
But now you know how to combat it.
Yeah,
and
now I can help other artists with that, because artists are notorious for being like unresponsive and take things personal, like really not know how to handle things professionally, and like introvert, and I'm not saying every artist is that way. Hello, I'm not I'm not introverted or shy in any way, but I have learned a lot about handling situations in a professional manner, and then also beefing up your contract so that you can always say, sorry, but here's what you agreed to, like I this is clear here. And then the communication beforehand, like I have discovery calls where I'm like, okay, what do you want to know? Here's everything you can expect from me. And then when they book, it's like, they're excited to book. They're excited to give you money. I don't want everyone
surprises.
I don't ever want to take money from somebody who's like, I don't know. Like, no, if you need the money for something else, please. I've told so many brides that. So many clients come in, they're like, man, we just don't have the budget. I'm like, okay, don't. Pay for an open bar. Pay for more flowers. Like what you pay for the venue you really want. Go. It's okay. No stress. Yeah. So this should not be a stressful situation.
You are stressing about this for your wedding. You've got much bigger fish to
I tell people all the time, I'm a lanyap.
Yeah.
I have a lanyap service. You do not need this to get married.
And if they still want a painting of that night, say, look, just have somebody take a great photo, and then I can paint it after the fact.
Yep. Do that all the time.
It's got to be a better solution.
Yeah.
Than all the stress that you're worried about.
Yeah. And I do one of my favorite studio paintings that I do is the father-daughter walk. So that escort, when a father is walking his daughter down the aisle, a lot of people, their father has passed away, or they've lost a mother or father or whatever. And so they just physically can't have that one moment that every girl dreams about, is her dad walking her down the aisle. And so I have done this so many times. I've got one on the easel right now where I take photos of the dad at whatever age, like whatever they have, and then photos of the bride, and if possible in her gown. Maybe her mother or her sisters send a picture of her like trying on her gown, right? And then we put all these elements together, the florals, the venue. I do research on the venue so that I can get the back end of the aisle in the background, because obviously they're not walking down the aisle with the altar behind them. It's a lot of planning and coordinating, but I can create that painting and give them that moment. And I do that a couple times a year. Like I do that all the time.
Yeah, and you're creating a moment for them in that sense.
That's a gift that they can't have in reality. It's just a sweet thing. Like I love being able to bring joy to people in all of these really special ways. Yeah,
and so you bring joy to people in their real world. Now you got this podcast world that you're creating, which is going to be very exciting for people to listen to at this time that this episode comes out. Yeah. But more importantly, like at the airing of this show, you've got an even bigger deal that's happening on the national screen. You're on TV. You're a star.
I know. I haven't been able to talk about it until now. I'm so excited. I'm a star.
You have at least 5 minutes on a national screen.
This show, and I'm on the pilot. I'm so excited to be invited to be on the show, The Luxury Living Insiders. And I have a segment on the show. They interview a couple luxury companies like around the country, and just highlight those for all of us, like luxury living is attainable in certain degrees, right? Like it's all within reach. And as a live wedding painter, it's a luxurious service for sure. Dating back to the Renaissance, having an artist come and create a painting of your wedding day, it does not get more luxurious and lavish than that. And I paint for people all over the country. I've been painting at weddings. I've painted at well over 500 weddings in almost every state and out of the country. Yeah, it is very, it's a well-known trend at this point. And I'm just excited to share my work and share my business and also my online course. I get to talk about that on the episode as well. And to be on the pilot, that's so exciting. I'm thrilled. I'm very excited.
How do they, I don't want to breach any NDAs that I know you had to sign. So how do they get a hold of you?
They reached out through my website. In fact, they reached out through my website, my live wedding painting website, my main website. I actually have a couple of different websites. I'm all over the place.
How do you have so many websites?
I just create so much work for myself. Well, from an SEO perspective, having a website that serves too many masters, that serves too many demographics is harmful for everyone. So I have a website for my weddings and my commissions, my original work, and I have a website for my personal collections and my prints. Like I'll create every now and then, I'll squeeze in an original collection.
Yeah, when you get bored in this,
when I get burnt out
schedule.
And I'm like, I need to stop painting faces because I paint faces for a living. I'll paint landscapes and things like that. And then I sell prints. And so I have this little side business. I have a fine art printer in my house and I'm able to produce prints and beautiful fine art prints. I sell those all over the country. And then now I'll have another website at the time of this recording, at the time of the launch of this episode. Hopefully this website is live. It's stephaniegaffney.com. And that houses my online course, The Wedding Painter's Blueprint. It houses all of my coaching opportunities, the podcast itself, The Composed Artist. That'll be the website where artists can find me, to kind of fill their cup, whatever education or inspiration they need. And then Torregrossa Fine Art it'll get all that. The online course is now hosted on Torregrossa Fine Art, and it'll remain my wedding, where my wedding clients can find me, and where people who want to commission me to do family portraits and things like that, they can find me there. So I'll have a handful of websites. And Torregrossa, I know you know Torregrossa, but it's not a common name. It's a very rare name, and it is my name. It's my maiden name, Torregrossa. It's Italian. And when I started my business, I'm sure we talked about this before, but I wanted something that would be classic and timeless. And even though being a Southern girl, very traditional, I knew I would get married one day and take my husband's name, but I wanted something that would stick around and keep that name, keep a really good rapport and reputation with the name Torregrossa and my family. So that's my company, my business.
I love it. So they reached out to you through your website.
So they reached out to me through the website, and it was actually one of the producers had seen my original work, which to me was such an honor because I'm not well known for my original work. It's just kind of, this is, an occasional sale here and there. But they fell in love with my work, and then they said, it was like a word of mouth. Somebody who worked for the show said, we need this artist on, like that specific kind of thing, which is such an honor. Any kind of word of mouth recommendation to any degree is an honor. And so they reached out and they said, we've got to have you on the show. And they invited me. I flew out to Florida, where was it, Pompano Beach. And they had a recording studio, and it was like a real life. I felt so.
Like the white backdrop and everything. You just
green.
Sat down.
It was like a huge warehouse, green screen. Yeah, they filmed they put planes in there, and they filmed all kind of shows. It was just really cool, and they treated me as though I were on a TV show. They treated me with great respect and great honor, and it was.
Do you have a trailer?
Do I have a trailer?
Did you have a trailer?
I didn't have a trailer. It was very unglamorous. I flew in the night before because I travel a lot, if I can avoid risking flight delays.
Right.
If I have to, I'll fly in the morning of the event. But that night I flew up the night before, stayed at a hotel, got zero sleep, was all nervous, was recording, practicing what I wanted to say, and then doing my hair and makeup myself, and then packed up and checked out of the hotel, took an Uber, which was a mistake because I always get car sick, and took an Uber to the studio, recorded the segment. It took an hour to record 5 minutes because I was so nervous. It was incredible. There were all kind of like movie grade cameras everywhere. The equipment, they were so kind. very complimentary of my work. They gave me a tour of the place. They've got, there's some things that were, private, that they showed me some rooms that they record certain things in that I thought was so cool. Not in like a bad way, but, projects, companies
right,
that they...
upcoming stuff that's not disclosed to the public.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it was just really impressive, and they were very kind, and I'll go be on TV with them any day. Have me back. Let's do it again.
I love that.
Yeah. So I want a TV show, and it's, it may turn into, and I went into this opportunity with the expectation of, that's awesome. And then if it helps spread exposure of my work and the online course for artists, or if it helps in any way grow the businesses that I'm trying to grow, then that'll be wonderful. But
we'll just link your IMDb page from
yes,
here on
please.
out. That's the only thing we're going to link.
Well, you've got a couple of links. And I've got, Instagram accounts all over the place, and it's just, I say it's one person because I'm heavily involved in every single thing, but I do have help in the different areas. I've got a virtual assistant that I've been working with for now a couple of months, who's been
incredible.
Oh, she's been so helpful and very specific with, she's not just running up a high bill, like very helpful and efficient. And I've had people come into the studio. I've had assistants. I had somebody, she came in and I was teaching her, kind of an apprentice, and she was helpful as well. And, the community, also my online community with the online course, they're all very helpful and encouraging of each other, which is helpful whenever you're like trying to get that conversation going. It can be exhausting. It can be a lot of work, but they do such a good job. It's such a supportive community. I'm just happy to be part of it.
Well, I love what you've done so far, and
Thank
I know
you.
you're only going to create better things forward.
Yeah.
So
it's a far cry from doing little sketches in homeschool classes, and because
helping design the yearbook.
Helping design the yearbook. Yeah, we go way back. I've had, Pat, I've had a couple of really cool collaborations. I did a collaboration with Tanqueray Gin and Bridgerton, and I did a painting for them, like a live painting. Went out and they did a sweepstakes, and I got to paint for the winner and paint them in the style of Bridgerton. It was so cool.
That's pretty cool.
I painted live in move-in day a couple of years ago at LSU, so I've got a very large painting hanging in one of the dorms. I just have had some really good. I've worked with Swellfest. I did the poster for Swellfest a couple years ago. A really great organization, fundraiser down
Absolutely.
in Grand Isle. I've had a lot of really great opportunities. Done so many murals, so many clients, and each one, it does not matter whether it's a big corporation or, a bride, like a 23-year-old young girl who's getting married and hiring me for her wedding. It's so meaningful. So I'm just happy to be here. I'm thankful. I have such an attitude of gratitude. I wouldn't be where I am today without each person saying, yeah, I want to hire you. Yes, I want a painting that you do. I want to hire you for a painting that I can't see yet. The trust there.
Create something for me that I have not yet seen.
Yeah, here's a couple grand.
Yeah.
Can I hire you to paint at my wedding a year from now? You promise to be there? Like that? Like that's...
Do you pinky promise that you're going to be there?
Literally. I mean, gosh, I'm so grateful.
And it all started with you having a few bad days in a row.
Yeah. It started with me... some things are so obvious, when you fall in love with somebody or you feel like you have to break up with somebody, like anything that has to do with like your heart and a situation that you're in, that gut feeling. Some things are so obvious. And I did not want a career. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and homeschool my kids. That's what I wanted to do. That's what my mom did. I loved that plan. I loved the relationship I had with her. I did not want a career. I did not do any internships. My cousin begged me to go on this interview to get this job at this ad agency. And because he thought it would be good for me, and he knew the guy, and he was trying to set him up with a good designer. I was dragged along until I, decided something, like a fire was lit inside me. It's just crazy. Certain things in my life have been so obvious, and you got to have courage. You got to have courage and courage in yourself that if it doesn't work out, it's not like, I've got a fallback plan. Like I've got a cushion. I've never had a cushion. It's just like, I'm going to looking at the data and looking at what I know I can do, I'm going to go after this. And if it works out, then we'll have succeeded at this thing. And if it doesn't, then it wasn't meant to be. And that would be obvious to me anyway. I don't know.
Right.
I go with my gut a lot. So there's a lot of things I haven't done that I thought about doing. But yeah, things have gone really well. I'm very grateful.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you're only just getting started.
Yeah. I got a lot of life left to live. When you think about artists who have passed and what they're known for.
Mm-hmm. It often didn't come till way later in their life.
Gray hair. Picasso, think about his work. You don't know his earlier works. Monet, when he retired, all his water lilies, his gardens. Man, yeah, I've got a big career of creating art. But, having a family, like it's increasingly necessary to be present. And so I'm trying to balance serving my clients, whether they're my wedding clients, my fine art clients, or my artists, serving them, helping them, and then finding time for my family, but not just finding time, planning time so that I can turn everything else off, which is so hard to do.
It's tough.
Mm-hmm. And then planning for the future for them, not missing like I did last year. Oh gosh, Madeline was 3, and I was thinking, oh, it's so nice we don't have to deal with school yet. We don't have to deal with applying and getting into school. And then it turned out, actually, yeah, we have to apply within a month. Like, we almost missed the deadline to apply to get her into pre-K at the school she's in. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, like, I'm not ready for this. Like, it happened so fast. So yeah, if you put family first, then they are taken care of. And then the work is, when you plan for both, like you can focus on what you have. It's nearly impossible to focus, to juggle everything when everyone needs you all at once. You need to, right. I've practiced, and I'm still practicing being really balanced with all of that and being intentional.
Yeah. And it's tough. It's a never ending job or a part of our life that we have to do.
No. And I love it. Love every minute.
So before we get you out of here, we have a set list of questions we ask every guest at the end of the show. So, what is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today?
Physically. I was thinking about that. The one thing that I did often as a kid that was kind of an adrenaline rush was climb trees. So I wish I could, like, there's ways that I get adrenaline as an adult. There's going after starting a podcast. Right. That's adrenaline. That'll give you a boost of adrenaline and get your heart racing. But I just love running, frolicking out in the yard. We were homeschooled too, so there's a lot of outside play. A lot of mom saying, "Y'all go play." A
lot of nature education.
Yeah, sure. a lot of running, and feeling that pump and that healthy pump as a kid. But otherwise, I have a very fun job, and my kids keep me young. Like I go outside with them. And it's a different role. I'm a mom. I'm not as fun, but short answer: climb trees.
Love it. What are 3 lessons you've learned along the way?
So the big one, and the one that has helped me reach success, where the level of success where I'm at now, is putting others first. Even if I'm trying to make a lot of money, even if I'm trying to be successful and start all these businesses and monetize different things and support my family, like, even if those goals are rewarding, self-rewarding, I can only do that if I put my clients first. Their expectation, like, consider their whole experience, make sure they feel special. I fall short a lot because I'm one person, I'm human, but putting others first in everything. If I want to have a good relationship with my husband, I have to consider what he needs. Same thing for my kids, same thing with my parents and my in-laws, like my friends. Just putting others first is the way to go. The second thing would be very connected, is nurturing relationships. It's very lonely. It's very business, being successful in business is very lonely. So what is the point? And then that kind of leads me to the third. A lot of these are relationship and purpose driven. I've learned a lot about how to be a better artist. The third thing is you don't know everything. Be a student, be an eternal student. Learn from the people around you who have experiences that you don't have. We had a miscarriage earlier this year, and what I've learned from people who are not in my immediate circle, but who have come up and in conversation, people, friends of my husband's, friends, the mothers at school, like it's just the share, just good advice, just healing, things like that. Like I can't sit here and feel like I'm good and I got it all figured out whenever there are people around me who have wisdom that I have not attained yet. And God has, like, there's the key to living a stress-free and not anxious life, I think, is to trust that God already has it figured out. Like there's already a plan. And so if you aim to please him, and if you do your best to not sin, like not make bad decisions or be selfish or lie or cheat or steal, like if you just aim to be a good person and follow God's will, then, it's all great. Like his plan is going to be laid out before you. And even in the struggling and even in the suffering that may come your way, he still has a plan. This is part of the plan. So what are you trying to learn from that?
Yeah.
Those are three things, right?
Absolutely. Those are three things. And it's the relationships along the way and just being a genuine person.
Yeah.
Like you have to do that because there's not really any shortcuts. Kind of goes back to your earlier point. You just got to work.
Yeah. Have integrity.
Yeah.
Do what you say you're going to do.
Exactly.
Be a good person. Call your mom.
Yes. Call your mom. So what is something you love about Louisiana?
Louisiana is home, Like when I say there's a heartbeat, there's a heartbeat. I'm not from New Orleans. I'm from Baton Rouge. There's a heartbeat to Baton Rouge. I love the generational relationships that we have here. Like some people don't like a small town. Some people really like to get out of a small town and they don't like gossip or whatever. But when I moved to New Orleans area, we lived in Metairie. But when I moved out of Baton Rouge, I really missed recognizing people in the grocery store. Some people like to go where they're not recognized. They like that privacy. I like my privacy. I also love connection and I love knowing people. Like I make friends. There's a guy that makes sushi at the Rouse's right by my house. And when I walk in, we're like, hey, what's going on? Like we're friends. I like the connection of knowing people, So, and that I had that. I grew up here in Baton Rouge and Louisiana. Everybody knows somebody. My dad can't go anywhere without saying, oh, I grew up with that guy. I went to high school with that guy. Like he just knows everybody. And there's a culture down here. I just love it. And the food's good and sports are fun. Even when we're losing, it's still fun to be a part of. And
it's all kind of like a little big town.
Little big town. It's fun to be a part of.
Absolutely.
Because I've gone to other places. And
I was about to say, you've been all over.
Beautiful places. And some people, like, I love the mountains. I love the beach. And there's some, like parts of the world, the physical world that are, I envy being, not in a flat marsh town, but also people, there's a culture down here that can't be beat.
Yeah. Those places are great to visit.
Yes.
And then
great
you can
to visit.
Come home.
Yeah. Be a part of, like, immerse yourself for a minute and then come home. This is home.
Yeah. So what can I do to help you?
This is it. I don't know how many people come on your show and be like, I don't know, this is great. Really, thank you, though. Thank you for giving me a platform to share my story and share the good news that I have, all of these new launches. I'm launching a website, launching a podcast, launching this show is coming out. Share about the course. I really love to help artists. I continue to help people and bring joy and benefit through fine art, but also helping artists who want to be live wedding painters or just business coaching. Being an artist and running a business is tough. So, and then just share about the podcast because people who listen to podcasts, plural. So
yes.
I'm all down for subscribing to a new podcast. So thank you for this time.
Absolutely.
And being able to reconnect with an old friend.
Oh, heck yeah. I know. It's always great to see like old friends from lives past lived.
Yeah.
Where it's like they're doing some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. And so are you.
Yeah. We're just recording shows every week.
Yes. You're not doing this. This is just a chit chat. Your wife must love it.
We're just chit chatting. That's all we're doing.
It's so funny.
We're just sharing stories one entrepreneur at a time.
Yeah. My husband does that. He'll have a meeting. He'll have a busy day at work. And he comes home and he's like, yeah, I had lunch with these two guys and we're talking. And I'm like, y'all were just chit chatting. He said, no, it was business. But it's a lot of chit chat. But business happens that way. And connection happens that way. And trust is built that way. This is a great trust builder. And I mean, you're providing a platform for all of these business owners and, people who are working professionally. Like this is wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's in the hope to promote Louisiana and let everybody know we're doing some cool things here.
Yes. Yes, we are.
We're not just out here, walking our pet alligator.
Yeah, whatever they think.
That's not the only thing we do, okay? We'll do it every now and again. But it's not the only thing we do.
I left mine at home.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're
Appreciate your
welcome.
time and appreciate your insight and your wisdom that you have attained and that you're sharing it with everybody else.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. This was a pleasure. This was fun.
It was. It was. Thank you. Thank you, Jay.
Our good man, Jay. And thank you, everybody else, for listening or watching, whatever platform you consume us on. We're going to be here next week for another episode of The Patty G Show. We'll see y'all then.